This looks nice. A farmer is plowing his field, there's a daydreaming shepherd, and a ship is sailing off into the sunset. It's a beautiful little landscape. Except that somewhere in this painting, someone is also dying. Right here. Two pale little legs kicking and sinking into the sea. It's poor Icarus, you know, the guy from the myth who flew too close to the sun, melted his wings, and is now very much drowning. But nobody cares. A boy is falling from the sky to his death, and not a single person in this painting so much as turns his head. Now you might think that's just bad luck. Icarus fell to his death in the wrong place at the wrong time. But Pieter Bruegel the Elder did this on purpose. He loved turning big tragedies into tiny details. Hiding in a corner or buried in a crowd. The question is why? Why would a painter create these big masterpieces and then shove the most important element of the story into a bottom corner where you'd almost miss it? The answer says something brutal about you, and me, and everyone who spent quite some time gazing at a farmer before noticing a drowning kid. Here's another hidden tragedy, but this time it's hidden in chaos. Hundreds of people swarming across a hillside. Soldiers on horseback, dogs, kids, a whole countryside out for the day. Your eye doesn't know where to land, it just bounces around the crowd. So, where is the tragedy in this one? If you zoom in far enough, you'll discover a man hanging from the gallows. And here, another one. There's corpses on wheels and bones in the mud. Because death is everywhere in Christ's procession to Calvary. But where is Christ? There's a crippled man crying for help, a dog playing in a pile of bones, a lamb ready to be sacrificed. But where is Christ? It's not him, even though he is carrying a cross. It's not this miserable man either, even though he too is on his way towards the site of his demise. A circle of curious people surrounds it. 2 crosses are at the ready, a third one has to be on the way. But where? Here, not in a corner this time, but dead center, crawling through the mud, taunted, pushed down. Bruegel reduced Christ, painted him so small, so buried in the crowd that your eye slid right past him to look at a guy on a grinning horse. Bruegel put Christ in the center and made him disappear anyway. Because the crowd doesn't care. Look at them. Nobody's mourning, they're chatting, gazing, pushing for a better view. You see, in Bruegel's time, a public execution was a day out, like a fair. People brought the kids and a picnic while someone died up front. Bruegel painted just that. And then there's them, down in the front corner, the only people in this entire painting who understand what's happening, because it's happening to someone dear to them. Mary is collapsing, John is holding her up. They are alone on their rock. The people who grieve are sealed off into their own little world, and the real world, our world, just flows past them, on its way to watch the show. Speaking of shows, here's another one. This Bruegel is all about war, and yes, he has hidden a tragedy in this one as well. But where is it this time? The whole right side is a forest of spears, thousands of helmets pouring down the hill like a river of metal. It looks loud and overwhelming. It's the Battle of Mount Gilboa, a Bible story about the war between the Israelites versus the Philistines. And it's going terribly for the Israelites. This bunch is trapped on a cliff edge, and their colleagues are crossing the river and escaping into the mountains, on the backs of their dinosaurs? Okay, we need to take a brief moment to look at this, because those long-necked creatures do look an awful lot like brachiosaurs, which is wild because when Pieter Bruegel painted this, people didn't know what dinosaurs were, let alone what they looked like. So what are they? Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but they are camels. It's a camel cavalry, it's what they rode to war with, and Bruegel had probably never seen a live camel, so he had to rely on second-hand descriptions or hearsay. The result is a scene that looks like it came straight from Jurassic Park. But enough about the camels. Where is our hidden tragedy? Here it is. This painting, in fact, is all about these two gentlemen who apparently don't know how to use a sword. This is Saul, the biblical king of Israel, that is, until he planted his sword into his own neck. He has just seen his 3 sons die in battle. His army is overwhelmed by the Philistines, and he doesn't want to get captured. So, he and his armor-bearer take matters into their own hands. Or necks, so you will. 2 men dying alone on a rock, while the war that killed them roars on and doesn't even turn to look. So, we have a boy in the sea, a messiah in the crowd, and a king on a rock. 3 tragedies shoved into the margins. Which brings us back to our question. Why does Bruegel hide these tragedies? Because most other painters, when they painted a tragedy, they lit it up, with angels pointing at it. They made the whole painting stop and stare, so you would stop and stare too. Bruegel, however, paints it at its real size, which is small. Because, unless it happens to someone dear and close to you, that's how tragedy actually gets to you, as a footnote, off to the side while you're busy living life. Tragedy gets to you in a video on social media, in a breaking push notification you glance at and choose to ignore, a news story that might touch you for a moment or two, but then you forget. So, you're the plowman. Not because you're cruel, you've just got a field to plow, places to be, a life to live. These paintings are about how easy it is to stand and stare, to turn your head and look away. And in that sense, these 400-year-old paintings are still incredibly relevant today. Hi there, thank you so much for watching. I admit the video was a bit gloomy, but I promise my book is much less gloomy. Stupid Faces in Stunning Paintings is a collection of 50 short stories about the weirdest faces in art history. So, if you're into art or you just want to have a good laugh, this might be for you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.